What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Hello. Welcome to Friday Night Live, your show where myself and my co-host Scott Goyette ask the tough questions. Those tough questions could be anything from what's your favorite color to what do you like to eat for dinner to all the way to what do you think about your childhood and the experiences that you had that could possibly be affecting you here in adulthood and driving you crazy. Yes, those are tough questions. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Who do we have here so far? Ladies and gentlemen, we have Tina Johnson, everything. You guys are awesome. Countdown. Nelly, what's up? Cindy, good evening. Good evening. Hey, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. We really seriously have an awesome show for you tonight. As you know, in previous weeks and months, actually, we've been doing this. We brought on 2 additional guests besides Scott and myself to kind of have that 4-way conversation on hot topics, but we're trying to do it in a smaller time frame. Before, we used to go 2 hours, 3 hours. So this week we're pleased to have with us a single guest, and we're going to dive deep into the topic of relationships. So have your questions ready, be ready to contribute on the side. If you agree with something, disagree with something, we want this to be a full-on conversation, kind of like we're sitting in a bar and you guys are in the outskirts and you guys are listening to it and like, hey, I thought something about this, or I have a question about that. This is truly an engagement with you guys as best as we can under these circumstances, aside from, putting on events and stuff like that, which is something we're looking at down the future. But for right now, this is the best way for us to engage with you each and every week, bring you value, bring you different guests, bring you different perspectives, bring you really the immediate information that can potentially change your perspective about your present and your situation moving forward so that you can thrive in it instead of just survive in it. So as always, I am so thankful to bring with me my beautiful co-host, Mr. Scott Goyette. Scott, what's going on, brother?
That made me feel really good, Chris. You called me beautiful. I like
you
that.
Are. Beautiful.
It's a relationship show, so that was a good start right there. I like that.
No, I'm serious. You are. You're beautiful inside and out. I see your passion. Right. I see your heart. I've only known you for a bit, but yeah, no, that's true. I mean, we're all beautiful souls. Just some of us are really fucked up and don't know it.
Pretty much all of us. It's just how do we express it and how quickly we're healing. But we start pretty fucked up, and then the goal is that we all walk each other home, I think. And we're going to work on that today because we've got a beautiful guest who's going to teach us how to connect better, create better relationships, and teach us some stuff. Wait a minute, there she is.
Oh, hi. Hi. Am I beautiful too? Am I just as beautiful as Scott?
Probably a bit more.
Yes, a bit more. I mean, if I could minimize my window, I would. I mean,
actually, can we do that? Can we just put all Crista? There you go.
All Crista all day.
Oh,
okay, why don't we just keep it there, Chris? Just keep her. Which way do I get to move? Just keep her in there. It's easier.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Crista, and the fact that we're going to be talking about relationships. I've got a couple of questions to kind of kick us off, but what's just a little about you and your background and what's going on during these times for you?
Okay, well, I mean, I help single people find love again. And, people come to me when they're just tired of the inauthenticity of the dating scene, of dating apps. They just really want to find someone. Dating feels like work to them. They're not meeting the right people. They're not meeting people who are attractive enough or successful enough. And then they come to me because they really just want to find a real connection with a quality person that has long-term potential. So I've been a dating coach for 10 plus years. You may have seen me on ABC, NBC, Fox, TEDx as a featured dating expert. And I just published my first book, Break the Glass Slipper. And I just love what I get to do. And I have a whole lot I can talk to you about, but that's a little nuggets for you.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you. I like I was telling you off camera, I was checking out your book and your exposure and really appreciate the value that you bring and the specificity.
Yes. Yeah.
That's another word I can't say right. There's 2 of them, but no, I always have a problem with that word. But anyways, specific enough to the area of your expertise in relationships. So it's going to be a great conversation today in all aspects of that. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And I just want to start it off and just thinking about this show and the impact we want to have. Obviously, we're going at the time of this taping, we're going through COVID. It's May 29th, 2020, just for that respect. And both of you and myself have experienced a lot in the last couple of months. And I'm interested in your perspectives of how you see relationships before, during, and what your prognosis is for after. And I think that's a good jumping off point to kind of go where we go in the conversation about relationships. But, both, marriages, you think about marriage relationships, you think about, parenting relationships, you feel about work relationships, dating relationships, obviously being single during this time. I've talked to a lot of people who've been alone with their cat for 10 weeks. So talk to me about your perspectives on that and let's get that started.
Well, yeah, I mean, I work with single people, so I'm on the phone all the time with single people. So that's really the perspective that I'm going to be coming from a lot today. And really, like, there's single people that have just been cooped up for 2+ months, depending on where you are in the country. And they've been navigating, like, how can I be single and try to date and find love and still be isolated, and also navigating around being alone and being confronted with that. And so it's a wide range of what people are experiencing. But I know for myself, like, I'm living alone. I've been here in my place. I moved into my new place right before the lockdown happened. And so I've been pretty much 2 months living here alone, and it's been tough. And so I know, like, other single people out there who don't have anyone that they're living with, it's really lonely. It's really isolating. It can really drive you crazy. Maybe I've been sad. I'm very social. I love connecting with people. And plus I lost my mother 2 months ago. So it's just a lot that I'm personally navigating through, the grief of that. And I know as a society, even though maybe people didn't lose someone to death or lose someone to COVID, just the grief of having our whole lifestyle really change overnight. And I think we're all navigating that, like, through recuperating from that and opening back up again. And then also, like, the unknown of, like, well, what is really going to happen again? Like, are we going to have a second wave? So I think there's a lot of fear for people. And I think it's affecting ourselves as individuals, but also our relationships.
Oh, big time. What about you, Scott? What's been happening in your corner of the world?
Again, like, this is one of those things where we're all in the same ocean, we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And so I'm very blessed that I was partnered up for the last 20 years. In fact, as of next month, it'll be my 20th anniversary. So we've had to, my wife and I and my daughter, look a little more closely at each other and figure out what we want, which has been beautiful. But it's been, I wouldn't say fully challenging, because we took that year around the world together that we were in close quarters. So we're used to it. So this was pretty much, we were in practice for this. This wasn't a big deal. So what I'm trying to do is take my ability to be balanced and grounded in this time and serve others, which, I know Chris is doing the same thing. And where we can, we're helping out. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Sometimes somebody's going to pick me up and carry me. And so today is my day to do that. So here we are.
No, that's so true. And Crista, I just want to acknowledge your loss and tell you that I'm very sorry for that, and my deep sympathies. I've been through that. We've all experienced loss in our lives, and to handle that plus everything else. But you touched on something that I think is really important in the fact of being alone. Sometimes some people just can't be alone. They don't have that ability. They don't have that confidence. And like myself, I could be alone for 10 days and not have a care in the world. Talk to us about being alone and how that impacts our psyche and ways we can maybe think about it differently, change our perspective about being alone.
Well, I just know from my own experience, like, being alone, I'm half hermit and I'm half social butterfly. Yeah. And so I'm equal. And so social butterfly didn't really get to express herself so much, but hermit did. And she really appreciated being alone. And I think where people get uncomfortable with being alone, and I know I still do too, is we're uncomfortable with being maybe with our own self, our own feelings, or what's really there. And I know that the world and being around people can kind of be in a distraction. And I know for myself, even being here alone, I've done things to distract myself, like maybe watch Netflix like all day, or do different things to just kind of distract from maybe painful feelings that I've been actually deeply experiencing, but I haven't really wanted to feel them. So I really think that aloneness can be a beautiful, peaceful thing because no one's around. But on the other extreme, it can be very uncomfortable to really, when you're truly alone and you're sitting with yourself and your feelings and to feel that. And if you're someone that's not used to, or you're not comfortable with feeling anger, or if you're not comfortable feeling sadness or grief, we're going to look to things to not feel that. And I think feelings and aloneness really are close roommates.
So this is actually an opportunity for all of us, really, correct?
Yep.
Because one of the things, we talk about, and we beat this down all the time, is when we're sitting alone in our own heads, a lot of those emotions that we've been there's another word we can't say. Compartment and
compartmentalize.
That one.
Compartmentalize.
Yeah, we're going to take that compartment stuff and with the emotions, and all of a sudden it starts to come up and we're trying to work through that. That's not fun. And here's the thing. We create all these things to do, whether it's, your sports, you go for a run, you go to your job, you do whatever, you sleep too much, you work out, just to hide from that. So we're hiding from these emotions so much they're surfacing. Here's a quick question for you. What do you do with that? Because we've talked about this extensively. What do you think you do with that? Because you're sitting there alone, you're single, you're looking for a relationship, and then these emotions come up. What do you do with that?
Great question, Scott.
I mean, I can answer. I mean, I know what I do with that, and I know what I tell my clients to do with it. I mean, I have a simple meditation that I teach most of my clients, which is really just to be in conversation and with their feelings from their higher self and with their little child who is the expression of that feeling, and to really have this conversation and really acknowledge the feeling, like, oh, I can see, like I even talk to myself, oh, I can see that you're feeling sad. What do you need? And then I'm like, I just need to watch TV, or I just need to go for a run. And then I'm like, okay, let's do that. And it's really about talking to our feeling or being with the feeling, just like we would with a little child. I know you have kids, when one of your children come to you and they're like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. You're not like, hey, go away, go in the corner. Like, I'm not going to listen to you, but we do that with our feelings. So what I teach people to do is actually, when that little kid comes up, I'm scared. Okay, I'm with you. I see that you're scared. And that's sometimes enough just to be like, I see that you're scared.
Absolutely.
Bam.
What do you need? And listen. When we ask ourselves these questions, it's really powerful and beautiful to see like what comes up, like weirdest things. Your inner child, your feelings just have something that they need, and we repress that. And let's start listening to that.
Let's dig into that, Crista, because that fascinates the crap out of me. The whole experience, and Scott and I have gone around about it. That experience between 0 and 5, where our emotional intelligence isn't even developed yet, because we have to come out of the womb because our head is already so big, and then we develop the emotional intelligence based on those first 5 years. For me, like, take out a picture of yourself as a kid, and this is something I did before I even heard this, and I took out a picture of myself and I looked at myself in the eyes. It was the freakiest thing. I mean, I get chills about it. I was like, almost like I was looking into somebody else's eyes, and like I was just like channeling, like, dude, you're gonna make it. You're gonna go through a lot of stuff, dude. And I swear to God, I'm getting chills. You're gonna go through a lot of stuff, but you're gonna make it. And so what I have people do is I have them write letters to their childhood, themselves as a kid. And it's amazing what comes out of that. Talk to us about that experience, and what in your life has helped people the most to reshape some of those childhood experiences that fucked them up in the first place.
Well, one of the things that I do with my clients is to, I have this process called Jumpstart Your Heart, and it really helps people to get complete from their past relationships. And then one of the stages of that is to really look at your mom and look at your dad, and to look at what was wonderful and beautiful about them, and where did they fall short, and to look at both, and then to circle and look at how you're just like them, and really look, wow, my mom's controlling, I'm controlling. My dad is like this, I'm like this. And then there's like this, like, this is what's so, and this is what you've been imprinted with. And there's a power in actually seeing what's so, because how can our parents teach us any differently than what they learned and how they were imprinted? But I'm a big believer that we can evolve our lineage, but we have to be really honest and truthful with ourselves of what is our lineage. And once we can see, okay, this is the good, this is the bad. I don't even want to say bad, but this just doesn't work. Then you can start to say, these are the things I need to shift. These are the things that I need to move towards. Like, one of the examples for me and my family is my mom or my dad would never talk about in a healthy way, like what's actually really going on with their feelings and how do we really need to work through things. And so one of the things I need to do to evolve my lineage is to really listen to my voice and speak my feelings and speak my voice, because it was shut down so much. Isn't it interesting that right now my whole throat is clenching up just thinking about it? It's kind of interesting, right? I'm like,
ooh, that's voodoo.
I'm like,
release it. Release her now. I will come after you. Their little laughter always breaks it up.
So that's
I think it's Scott's smile. Scott's smile is probably just paralyzing you. It's like,
no,
It is.
Oh, there. That should. I was gonna say. So I'm gonna say it anyway. That should loosen your throat up. Whatever you guys want to say with that. Shut up. I'm gonna say it. I don't care. Before I said it, I thought about it, but then I said it anyway. So fuck it.
We all say stupid things, and we say things that can be taken in many different ways.
All right.
Did you just see that?
Carry on.
Chris's child just came out. I saw 0 to 5 right there. He said, "You just said something mean to me." So everybody, we're all feeling it.
The thing to do is to change somebody's state.
How about this? I'm gonna throw something. I'm gonna throw something we haven't done yet. You ready?
Dig it. Come on, bring
Let's
it.
do something that we've never done here on the show. Why don't we literally? I want us to literally. No, this is gonna be fun.
Okay.
Let's literally. I'm very serious. Let's go back to our think of this. All right. Let's have this conversation. Let's stem it back. We're all in the sandbox. We're in kindergarten. We're 5 years old. Let's go from that self with what we're feeling and answer the questions from that perspective. So when we're talking about this right now, you're sitting, who's Crista there? Who's Chris there? Like, what are we feeling? Because we're going to those default mechanisms, those I am statements from that space, like who we feel at that point. Let's answer a few questions from there and see how it feels. Because you just started to do it. You started to feel that in the throat, and we all went to it with you.
Yep.
Let's play in that space.
Sure. Absolutely. That's a great idea, Scott. All right. So what's the question?
All right. Let's see what the question is. I'm gonna come up.
I was really quiet as a 5-year-old, so that answer will be really quick.
Okay. How about this? Right. So we were talking about being single, and we were talking about living in quarantine. How does it feel being alone and being told what to do? In this situation, we're being told what to do, and a lot of people reacting differently to this question right now, because some people say, I don't want to wear a mask because I'm being told what to do. I don't want you to tell me what to do. So right now, how do you guys feel, whether it's single or whatever, being quarantined and being told what to do? How does that feel to you guys?
Safe.
I'm sick and tired.
Safe.
You feel safe like that, Crista? Talk more about that.
Yeah, because it's like clear guidance from an authority figure that I trust, and they're saying you need to do this to stay safe. And I said, okay.
And that's where you were at 5. What about you, Chris?
I said sick and tired. Up until that point, I was told what to do, told what to say, told where to be, told to shut up, told to do this, told to do that. So at 5 years old, if I heard that, I'd be like, psh, bah, 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 bah.
Chris, what do you think I was at 5? What do you think my answer would be? I'll just let you take this one for me.
Yeah, you would have said, okay, great, thank you very much for that, and went and done the exact opposite.
Ooh, it's almost like you're living in my brain.
Yeah.
My 5-year-old brain would have said, sure, absolutely, and went and done the exact opposite.
Did I get it right?
You get it right. You got it right.
I just this channeling.
So I'm the obedient one.
Romance that's going on, Tina. Shut up.
So this is fun. This is a cool place that we're going to right now. So we have two people that would have been bucking the system early on, and whether it was for right or wrong reasons, there's no such thing. It's for reasons. Okay. So our I am statements were in disbelief of authority for us, and you were in a space of comfort. So this is beautiful to look at right now, because everything we're looking at politics, reaction to this environment, to relationships, is completely different for all of us because of exactly that. What do we go back to into our default? And so your default is you're comfortable with authority that you trust, saying this is what we need to do, where other people are saying, absolutely not, you make no sense. What can we do to be a hybrid of the three of us? Because there's a time and a place, right? Like, here's the thing. If somebody tells me to go into Whole Foods to wear a mask, I don't care if I think a mask makes sense or not. I'm doing it because that's a business asking me to do it, and they're telling me that it might help somebody else who's more immunocompromised. Yeah. So I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Now, my childhood self might have just taken off the mask just because I'm mad at everything. But now I'm taking a hybrid of all of this. So how can we help people from a relationship perspective, developing yourself to be somebody who can be a hybrid of all of it? How do we listen to authority? How do we judge what authority is correct? And at the same time, also be our own selves? Because this is very difficult to pull off.
Well, I've personally had to find the authority figures that I trust and that I resonate with, and then I just go with that. So I don't know, but then
how do we do that? How do we even do that? Like right now, like I know we're straying a little, but I want to know, how do we do that? Like how do we pick these people? Like, do you trust me and Chris? Are we okay? Are we authority figures? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
We're not experts at a virus, but are we talking about virus? Or are we talking about relationships? Because
Let's go back to relationships. We're done being kids. We're not 5 anymore.
No, I mean, that's a great space. I mean, actually, somebody was just saying, tough question. Yeah, tough question. Like, to go back to that space. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's for me, when you say that, Scott, it kind of makes me think I think about my son, Jackson, 3.5 years old. And I look at him and I want him to have every experience be perfect. I want every experience to like teach him the right thing. I want everything to be just perfect. It's like, but no, you have to touch the stove. You have to go walk around the pool. Like the other day, he was ready to go walk around the pool, and that pool, the sidewalk was blazing hot. Yeah. And I thought for a second, no. But I'm like, one of these days you're going to learn sidewalk is hot. You might as well learn right now at 3.5, because the sooner you learn that, maybe you're going to learn other lessons at the same time. Yeah,
but even you being the dad of a 3-year-old son, and if he touches the stove, you're like, no, don't do that. Like, you do something to like instruct him, and then you either like, you can go to the extreme of like hitting him and be like, no, or you can be like, hey, we're not to do that because it's hot and then it really hurts you. You actually give him the facts, and you may have to do it over and over again. And I think that's the thing for me when it comes to authority. When people are giving me the facts, I think that's why I'm a Cuomo fan. And even though I'm not in New York anymore, in terms of the coronavirus thing, like, he's giving the facts. He's saying, this is what's happening. This is what's happening real time. This is what this is what we all need to do. I invite you to do it. He's not actually saying you need to do this. He's like creating this whole movement of people to join forces to do something together. And I think that's the thing that's missing with a lot of authority figures on this topic, is they're just really attached to their perspective and then just kind of misguiding people and upsetting people. But for me personally, I feel safety in knowing what the facts are, what's actually happening, like what do I need to know? And so I can make that choice for myself. And I know sometimes not everybody's getting the facts. And I think that's why everybody's getting upset and people are triggered from their 1 to 5-year-old self. Like, you can't make me, because one, I think they're just not getting the right facts, or I don't know. It's such a cluster FUCK right now.
Oh, you can say that on the show. That's why we're on. That's why we're on.
Go ahead, because
if you don't want to, obviously you won't, but I will, and Scott will as well. No, I mean, it's amazing. And look what Cindy says. It's interesting. My 5-year-old, I'd sneak around quietly but act like I was pleasing people. Oh. Can you imagine the impact that has over the course of your entire life if you start out that way? It's truly inspiring and really remarkable that you can go back and think about all the different experiences that we went through as children that really create our realities today. So, Crista, I mean, since you are a guest expert, when you think about relationships, what is the scene going to look like after this? What do you think marriages and relationships that have been going through this situation? My hope is that as you're going through this, that you're struggling and you're becoming stronger. But I imagine at the same time, people are like getting to their pushing point where like, no, this is no longer going to serve me. I can't fake it anymore. I'm going to come out of this lean, mean, and a fighting machine. But again, like with the dating scene, do you imagine that the new interview application is going to be like, okay, have you had, the flu in the last 10 months? Can I get you to go to my doctor and get checked out before we have sex? Do you think it's going to be that crazy?
Well, I think people already, like, one of the things that I'm teaching my single people is to be aware of where someone is on the spectrum, from wanting to be very strict, where you just stay inside and you don't have any interactions, to being fully open, where you don't follow any of the rules, right? And there's a spectrum all the way through that. And I can send it to you. It's actually really interesting. But what really is helpful about that is because you get to see where you're at on the spectrum of where are you comfortable meeting someone at a restaurant, or are you more comfortable having a Zoom call, or are you comfortable going for a 6-foot distant walk? Like, you need to know what that is for yourself. And then when you're actually meeting someone, you can have the conversation. So where are you at on the spectrum? Are you more like you're very open to going out in restaurants, or are you more like, do you want to do a Zoom call? I want to make you feel comfortable. Like, where are you at? Because the whole goal is, I mean, I coach people who actually want to find a long-term relationships. I'm not your girl if you're just looking for a hookup, but if you're looking for a long-term relationship, it starts there in really getting into someone else's world and getting where they're at so that you can invite them into something, a date or an experience, so you can start building a connection with someone. And I think this is just the added protocol that I think a lot of people are kind of struggling through. And I think when you just need to own where you're at and being able to vocalize that and find somewhere where you can actually build connections with people that feel safe.
7 billion people on the planet. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, Chris. I mean, that is firepower for people out there listening. I mean, come on, guys, take notes, take action to this. What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
No, I think it's right on the money. I mean, I think a beautiful thing right now, and to everything that you just said, is we're looking at ourselves a little more deeply. So it might be just identifying like somebody who thinks we don't need a mask, but that's going to go way deeper. So it starts with, do I follow the rules? Do I not? Which you brought out that point, Krista. Yeah. You were saying that you were more comfortable with rules, where maybe Chris and I aren't. But we're also willing now to start. I think what's going to happen is all these new things, people are going to start to meet in the middle. They're going to start to think a little more, respect other people more. I think this time in, quarantine, or whatever we want to call it, I think the people who got into their own thoughts are starting to respect other people more, and this is an opportunity. So
you do think people are respecting each other more?
So this is what I think is happening right now. I think this is a classic calm before the storm. And so I think that right now, because Chris has brought this up too, you're going by people in the park and they're not looking at you, and think of this, we're still in introspection even while we're moving. We're riding around the park. We're wondering what this person's doing. Why are you not wearing this? We're arguing more. But think of what you're doing when you're speaking. You're speaking, you're talking, you're thinking, you're in conversation. I think what's going to happen is people are going to start to realize, wait a second, I was being a little bit ridiculous with that person. I wasn't being fair. Now, you're going to have your outliers who are still going to hear chirping from each side on each news network. Yeah. But I think the median, and I think the majority of us are really starting to wake up. I mean, I don't think the three of us are anomalies, maybe to an extent. Maybe we are. All right, maybe we're a bunch of freaks.
I've been told that recently.
Total freak party right now.
You're an anomaly. I'm like, no, I'm not.
I'm not an anomaly. Leave me out of this.
Exactly. I'm Keith Partridge, man.
All I know is I have a wide variety of even students on the political spectrum from different nationalities, cultures, whatever. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed when they were giving me my reviews, as a professor, everybody said that you really brought people together well. And here's the thing. I can sit here and take full credit for that. I think that I might be a decent moderator for that, but they brought themselves together well. I put the information out there. People are ready to wake up. They want to connect. They realize that in isolation, that's not where your strength comes from. And so it's beautiful that you're a relationship expert, because individually, as we connect more to one another, we connect more to what? We connect more to source. You can call it God, source, creator. Once we start doing that, and I see it starting. I mean, of course, we see the racial issues going on in our country. We see so many things, and I'd like to do a minute at the end and kind of just a pause for that.
Yes,
we don't do it now. But I do want to say that, think of this, okay? Let's step there for 1 second. From this perspective, Kaepernick kneeling did what? Did nothing. It just got people saying, oh, it's one more person complaining. Ironically, those are the same things that MLK did, and it's never the right time, never the right place. And now people are complaining about the concept of, oh, they're burning buildings, or they're doing this. So now there's the wrong process. Here's the thing. Yeah. That conversation is allowing us to start to say, wow, there must have been a lot of anger and a frustration and sadness and things that I can't personally comprehend as a white person that are now being enacted. So what's going on? I think that on the macro is the same thing going on in the micro, where I'm sitting here and you're saying, why do you not wear a mask? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I think we're starting to have these communications. And so I can't guarantee you the time frame, but I will guarantee you this: change is coming. And a lot of the people who sit on the fence on things say, well, it just is what it is, or I'm just not good at talking to people, so I'll never have a good relationship, or that's just the way white people and black people deal. Or people are starting to say, wait a second, I have a choice. I'm the creator. And so that's what's going to start happening. Now, you and I and all of us, we can be the people who show choice can change things overnight. And that's got to be our responsibility and our job. And I see that happening with the right people. And I know we can be the people to create that change and get people to step up. So
preach it, brother. Preach it.
Sorry I shifted that, but you know what it is, and we all are doing it. We got 10 things in our heart right now. We're sitting here telling everybody to go be in this relationship, but we all probably came down from what we were talking about 2 minutes ago, and we're like, okay,
go grab somebody and punch them in the throat. I'll say it. I'll take responsibility for it. I'm the kick-ass guy. I'm the guy that's wearing the freshly ironed bandana. No, but seriously, yeah, there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of emotion, and I think it's bleeding out from people's personal lives, their personal relationships. They're frustrated, they're aggravated. I think, Crista, you talked about it before. I talk about it all the time: short-term gratification versus long-term results. I'm going to go hide in my bubble. I'm going to build this cocoon over me so I don't have to deal with my problems. I don't have to deal with my issues. I can sit there and pretend life is all pretty, and then until you get to 50 years, 20 years, whatever it is going to be for you, that cocoon breaks off magically, and you go, oh wow, there's a shitload of regrets out there. Fuck.
Or Chris, we know the bigger one is on your deathbed. At least at least they break. I mean, the Alanis Morissette song is horrible when they're like, he won $1 million and he died the next day or whatever it was. That's it though. So many of us get to that point, whether it's we only have a few years left, but the deathbed. Can you imagine your deathbed, that hospice question that we always talk about? I didn't live for myself. I didn't live to exude my brilliance. I didn't live to give what I can give to the world. That sucks. And that will not happen with the three of us. And whoever's listening, don't let that happen with you.
Oh, Scott, did you, I think you did. Did you see my show Tuesday night?
I think so. Who was on it? Was that?
No, it was just me, but I brought that book out. I brought that book out, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. What you just nailed it. People go read that book. If every one of you guys watching this freaking broadcast, I said freaking. Why did I say freaking? That's weird.
Because
my kid is near me. My kid can see the F word in the perfect context.
Crista,
that is so weird. So
you're coming back next week and the next week and the next
5 Regrets of the Dying. The 5 Regrets of the Dying. I'll have to go back and listen to that because I'm trying to keep on thought. Otherwise, you know me, Scott. No, the 5 Regrets of the Dying. If you guys go and listen to that or watch or read that, watch that. Yeah, watch the page turn. No, seriously, I'm dead serious. You go read that book, listen to that book. That's a life changer. That is a game changer. I couldn't even make it through the entire book. That is God's honest truth. I got so upset with how people destroy their lives. They punish themselves for their entire freaking existence. Why did I do that again? I'm not like on the Pope show. Their entire fucking existence. And it's like, they look at it and seriously, that's my biggest fear. If I die tomorrow, I'm cool because I won't have any regrets. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I would leave a legacy that I'm proud of, and that's it. And so many people get to the end of their journey and they look back and they're like, wow, I screwed up that relationship because I thought they were going to be perfect. And that's one of my questions for you, Crista, is that we go into these situations, and I was guilty of this, that I wanted the perfect thing. I wanted the girl, the body, the self-sufficiency, the freedom, the trust, I wanted this whole thing. And then I had this checklist. And then after all my years, I married my wife, who I've been together with now for 18, 19 years. And it's because I finally went like, Chris, you can't check off all the boxes, but what are the most important boxes? And one of the most important boxes, I was just talking to somebody about this today about relationships. So it was so keen. I'm like, she knew who I was. She knew my baggage and everything else. And there's a relationship expert I just saw on YouTube the other night, which is famous. She's like, if you go into a relationship with somebody who's like that, don't expect them to change. That's who they are. If you want to change them, if you think you're going to make them magical and all that other stuff, let that go. And that's why I married my wife, because she's like, okay, you're friends with your ex-wife, you're friends with your ex-girlfriends. Cool. I dig it. You're crazy and you want your freedom, you want your independence. Cool. I dig it. I'm the same way. That was my checkbox. But talk to us about that and how people get all screwed up in that shit.
Well, that's really important because she accepted you just as you are. So if we had to put a quality name on how she was being, like, what's that character trait that she has that had you really accept all that? What would you name it? Who is your wife?
Love.
So she's loving. So she's love, right? So you got to a place where you realize that one of your key priorities is to be with a loving person, right? And that's one of the things that I do with my clients. People have their checklist. People have their fairy tale fantasies of what they think: tall, dark, handsome, oh, beautiful, long hair, whatever it is, right? And they have their type and they get really distracted about the fairy tale of it all. But the core of my work is to really help people do that deep introspective work to get at the core of those core 4 things. And I call that their dating compass, because the compass will lead you. When you know at the core who you really need and want in your life, then dating becomes so much more easier, because then you're able to see it in reality. Does this person have this characteristic or no? Are they demonstrating this or no? And if they do, then continue seeing them. If they don't, then goodbye. And then we need to have at the core like a quality, not things that look external, at who's the character of the person that's going to fit for the rest of your life, where the vision for your life, who is it? And you're not going to base it on sexual chemistry anymore. Yes, you want sexual chemistry, but you want more what it is at the core, who would be a great long-term fit with you. And that's the work that I do with my clients. So it speeds up the process so they can find love faster.
That's beautiful. That's so necessary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yes, I mean, think of this, right? When you were 18 or 19, what did we all do?
Wow.
When we were 18 or 19, what did we all do? I mean, maybe 15, 16, 17.
No, I was just getting married.
Oh, for me, I was just like, I came up with like a type. Like
18, 19?
Oh, as a type? What was our type at 18?
No, I just came up with like, were you a cheerleader? Were you in the volleyball team? Like, you had your type and you just chased them all. And you had this thing that like, that had to be what it is. Then you got to the college, you got to that fact of, well, I want somebody who's also intelligent. So then you're adding like things on. And so you add all these things on, but they're still very like, it's not like the deepest. Yeah, it's still like some superficial. And I'll never forget this. And I want to share this for a relationship standpoint. So I had dated way too many people, and just, what I was trying to do was I would always ask myself, is this a girl that will hate me quickly so we can move on? So I would do something to literally sabotage it. Like, I'm serious. But I was really good about it.
Back full screen, because both of us were laughing backstage, like going, "Oh my god!" Because I could relate to that.
But Chris, so I was a professional, and I'd be like, "It's not you, it's me," and I'd create the problem and go, "You're an amazing human being." But I never, ever would hurt people. I would do it so they walked away from me and go, "He's a nice guy, but we just didn't work out." And I'd be like, "That's correct." And so, but listen, so I meet this girl one day. And it was hilarious. And so I call my friend and I go, "Dude," and he goes, "What?" I go, "I met this amazing girl. She's beautiful. She's so intelligent." And he goes, "Dude, don't do it." And I go, "She's the marrying type." I go, "I got to get out of here." He goes, "Don't do it." He goes, "You know where this?" He goes, "Don't do it." And that's my wife. And so the funniest thing is, here's her conversation. She calls her mom the same night she meets me. She had just broken up with a long-term boyfriend. I had been through dating a handful of girls at the gym I was running. And she goes, "Super fun guy, totally good guy to hang out with, not the marrying type." And so to your point, you were going through the same thing. I'm sitting here trying to fix my problems of hiding from relationships. She's defining he's too playful and fun and being silly and he could never be committed. And we both did exactly what you're teaching inadvertently. And we met in the middle where we fixed, I shouldn't say fixed, we adjusted our compasses to both point north. Yeah, became complementary. And we really were perfect for each other in the sense that I'm the crazy one who's going to jump off the cliff. Come on, let's do this. And she's the perfect grounding person who's going to say, "Hey, maybe you don't need to jump off every time." And I'm like, "Why?" And she goes, "Because there's rocks." I'm like, "Oh yeah." And so we both serve each other. And honestly, you can say that was from luck or whatever, but I'll say this. There's one thing it was from, and it was from work. It was from adjusting our compasses together. It didn't happen in 15 minutes. 18 or 19 years, like Chris was talking about. That's factual information. Somebody comes in and they want a quick fix. You got to fix yourself, or I shouldn't say fix yourself.
Well, no, you do.
I don't want to say fix yourself. Like adjust your compasses.
Fix yourself, wreck yourself. So Cindy says, so what kind of questions should we ask a possible relationship with somebody? And speaking of relationships, my wife just walked in the door. Thank you very much, dear.
Bring her in.
I won't embarrass you, but my wife got me. Look at. I finally have an official Jack and Coke. So take your drink. Yes, thank you, baby. I'm not going to embarrass you. Come on, get in front of 12 million people.
I'll bring her in real quick.
12 million people. All right. Cheers. Thank you, baby. Oh, wait a minute. My dog is in here. I'm in love. Come here. Come here, Ozzy. Come here, Ozzy. Come here, Ozzy. I'm going to try. So I'm going to just, we're going to go off script here for a second because I just want to sit. No, come on, sit. My dog is like, does not, come on. I got to show you guys something. Let's just try. Let's just be crazy for a second. Ozzy, come here.
Up,
Ozzy, look up. Ozzy, come here.
Ozzy.
Come here, Ozzy. Come here, Ozzy. Come here, Ozzy. Ozzy. Oh, he leans against me. He is a Doberman mix, but Dobermans lean against you. Ozzy, come here.
Who's a good boy?
Oh, yeah, he's a good boy. All right. So, yeah, that's real, people. That's real shit. That's not a background. So shut up. So Cindy says, okay, back to the script. Cindy says, so what kind of questions should we ask a possible relationship someone? And I'm gonna add to that a little bit because I have some insight. In different phases of our life, should those questions be different? Like if you're 20 years old, what questions should be asking somebody that you're going to potentially be dating? If you're 40 years old, what potential questions should be asking? And if you're, 70, 80, 90 years old, still in the game, what questions should be asking? I mean, I think that's a great question.
I mean, I think it's really good to know what kind of topics to bring up because you want to see if they're in alignment with what you want and what your intention is. And your intention may be different at 20 or 30 or 50 or 70, right? And you need to be in tune with what your intention is. And that's why my clients always ask me, okay, I'm going on a date. Like, what question should I ask? They have their dating compass and maybe they're looking for someone who's, loving, generous, curious, maybe financially independent. Maybe those are their core things that are important to them for whatever reason. Instead of thinking about, okay, what kind of questions should I be asking on the date? Because that can be kind of awkward. And also questions can come across as kind of like you're interrogating someone. So you definitely want your questions to come across really light and playful and in the moment and not scripted. But what I recommend is when you're at the core and you know what you want, like let's say you want someone that is into emotional intimacy, and that's a very key important part, then you want to bring to the table on that date, like books you've been reading about emotional intimacy, an article you just saw on Facebook, something, so that when you're actually bringing up cool topics of conversation around the quality that you're really looking for, and people say like, so how was your day? Instead of saying fine, you could be like, well, actually, I just read this really interesting article about like emotional intimacy, and they did a study on it, and then you can start talking about it, and then it opens up a discussion, a sharing interaction, instead of like thinking that's why I just want to frame it that instead of thinking to ask questions, actually come to the table with information or things you've been doing that are in alignment with the actual qualities that you're looking for in someone.
Pow.
Kaboom.
You're welcome.
Wow. Now my throat's closing up. That was a lot of truth right there, sister. Jesus. I cry. I have to admit, I'm producing a podcast right now where I actually cry. Yeah, it's just amazing. So you got me all choked up because what you said is massive truth. And sincerely, I hope everybody out there is really listening and taking heart to this because it's interesting. And I'm sure you've seen this, Crista. People will hear something and they'll be like, oh my God, I need to do that. And then some people just like the next day forget about it. And some people act on it. Talk to us about the pain versus pleasure situation in relationships and getting out of them or getting into something else, because that's something I've experienced in my life. And it's something that I've tried. I was a relationship coach to an extent, but I stopped doing it because I realized I don't have the right training to help people in those situations altogether. But the fact of people coming through this either together or apart, what recommendations would you have from a communication standpoint, from a trust standpoint? Because people carry their baggage, they have their truth to a story, which we know the truth to the story is just made up shit in their head to defend themselves. Talk to us about that and how people can mitigate that right now, because I feel as much as I want people to be growing together, I feel like people are tearing apart.
Okay, can we dissect that question? Because there was just so much in there. Like if you were to like shorten that question, what would it be? Like, what do you really want to know?
Communication. What is the best method for people who don't like to communicate, people who are passive aggressive and build and take it in, and like, and the people that don't want to give up, the people that are like, no, we got married till death do us part, and they never realize like that's real, and if you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life, that's fucked up. How do we talk to people who are in those situations that don't know how to communicate with one another? They like, oh, we're going to do it for the kids, we're going to do it for everything else. And I know there's people out there that like, geez, I wish I had the 50 shades of fucking stupid, shit going on in my life. How do we talk to people how to communicate and be?
I mean, I think
it's unreal.
To be honest, Chris, I think it really does boil down to being in communication with ourselves, and when we can be in that powerful communication with what am I feeling right now and what do I need? Like, have you ever heard of like nonviolent communication, that whole path?
Oh.
The key elements of nonviolent communication is to say what you're feeling and to say what you need. And then that's it. And
but
we
that's
don't,
scary for most people.
What?
That's scary for most people.
I know.
How do you get them through that part? Because I know that part personally, but how do you get people to get through that part and let go of that?
It takes bravery. I mean, I know for me, even personally, just everything that I've been through personally the last 2 months, the grief and being alone and dealing with my own grief, and actually calling my dad and saying, hey, I've been feeling alone. Can you call me more often and check in on me? And he said, yes. Do you know, I was kind of nervous to ask for that. That's it was very uncomfortable, but see how simple it was, but how brave it was and how confronting it was. But it took something for me to actually get. See, what we usually do is we feel bad and then we blame the other person, and I'm feeling this way because of you. And why don't you do this? Why don't you take me out? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Instead of just taking a moment and be like, what am I feeling right now?
Yes.
I'm feeling kind of frustrated. Okay, what do I need?
That's cool.
I need to feel heard. Okay, then you go to your partner. I'm feeling frustrated and I just need to be heard.
Yes.
It's the truth.
Damn.
It's honest. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. It's just that's what's so, right?
It is.
So here's a question, and this tags right onto that. So you get in a situation where you start being very honest and you start wanting to communicate. That's going to be a paradigm shift for the relationship, correct? So let's say one day I just say, hey, you know what? I like these new things sexually. Ooh, and everyone's freaking out. It sounds weird. Or, you know what I wish? I wish you'd say I love you more. But it's weird because I feel soft being a guy saying that. Whatever I'm asking for, to say it the first time throws me so out of whack.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What do we do when people jump right into their old patterns and go, because here's the thing. We're going to put them in a situation or say it in a way that we're trying to force a reaction so we can say, I told you so. I knew you wouldn't listen to me. I knew you wouldn't hear, because that's what we do. How do we stop that from happening? So let's say I was to go to my wife and say, I wish you'd just say I love you more. And what I'm going to do, though, I think I said it that way. I'm going to go, why don't you say I love you more? I'm going to do it in a way that's so how do we get people to linguistically or how do we get them to communicate it effectively so that we're not right back into the pattern saying, see, look, I knew you were the way you were. I knew it would work out, instead of being a co-contributor to the success in the relationship.
I think it comes to getting to the basic space of owning what you feel and what you need authentically, because I need you to tell me you love me more. I think there's more to it than that. I think there's something deeper there. You may not need that. It's really for yourself. Like, what do I need right now? Like, what am I really feeling? I'm feeling isolated. I'm feeling unheard. I'm feeling sad. Okay, well, what do you need in that sadness? I think I just need you to be here with me and look me in the eye. And I want there to be love feelings between us right now. What can we do to create love feel? I mean, you see, it's like a little deeper instead of being like, I need you to tell me you love me. I don't know. Do you need that?
I guess the thing I'm trying to think about is what we're really doing is we're getting somebody to shift gears. So I'm assuming that most of these things are deep in the relationship. We've had our 0 through 6 months or 1 year great sex. Oh my God, that's all I want to do. And then we've had a few more years of a little more creativity. We've hit year 7 where we've gotten through year 10 and we've tried it all the crazy. All right, we're crazy now. Yeah. We're in our patterns. We're trying to figure out what's next. Where's the gear shift? At this point, how do I frame and mindset shift between us, because for me to come all of a sudden say there's something I need that I recognize in myself, I think I'm assuming a lot of people want to hear this tidbit, because right now
look at her. Oh, she's swimming.
Okay, I'm going to take a sip.
Okay.
Look at that.
Okay.
Hurricane coming.
Crista, we got something coming.
Here's what I'm swimming in, because, okay, let's just take
Bring it,
this as
girl.
an example, right? If you're with someone for 25 years, 20, whatever, and it's like you're wanting to explore new things. Here's the thing. When you go out on a first date with a woman, second date with a woman, third date, you're wooing her. You're wooing her into your bed. You're leading her where you want to go. And she's like, okay. You want to get into that mindset of like, where do I want to lead my woman? And how can I entice her and inspire her to like try something different? And I kind of want to try this thing tonight. And what can I do to have her feel comfortable and feel warm and juicy with me? And I can be like, hey, you can actually lead a woman somewhere if she feels safe and she's inspired. But sometimes I think men over the years, I do find this, that they kind of give up the wooing factor, or they give up like leading a woman somewhere. Like, you can lead a woman somewhere. You really can.
So that right there is gold. And if you guys have never listened to the Pina Colada song by Rupert Holmes, it says it all. Remember the song? You like Pina Coladas getting caught in the rain? It's the woman takes out an ad to meet somebody, ends up meeting her husband because they say that we didn't know each other anymore. And they're like, I never knew you would like Pina Coladas and getting caught in the rain. And so I'm going to have to agree with that 100%. But I also want to add one thing. Yeah. You just put a lot of that onto the guy. What can the girl do? So let's say that, you're a guy and you're sitting here and you're like, all right, same old thing. I just want to go to the gym, whatever, I love you to death, but whatever. What can you do to say, like, to bring it back? Because here's the deal. We all play these little things like that. We're like, we come up with something we think we want, like you said. How do we recreate? Like, I want to hear recreating from both sides. How do we recreate this and just make this?
I think the main thing where people need to get to, and it does take some introspection and some personal development work, but to actually create someone as new every single day.
Yes.
To actually be a conscious stand. I do not know this person. This person is not, I'm not going to put them in a box today. I'm going to see them as new and fresh. And when you take that on, it takes practice. But I know people, like very powerful people, that have declared that in the relationship, that they give up the right to put their partner in a box, and they are committed to seeing them fresh and new every single day. And it takes work to do that, because as humans, why we get into patterns is because we do like to feel safe. We are like on this unsafe planet, so we do things to feel safe, and which is putting people into boxes. Yes, no, this is good, this not good, this. And then it gets boring. But if we're doing our own personal development work, we're being fully present, we're giving our full self, and we're choosing consciously to see someone as new every single day, then there's a life force that's there. Then instead of some sort of mental sexual fantasy that you have because you saw something or heard something and you just really want it, and it's some sort of mental construct, you can actually be juicy in the moment, alive, and actually feel their skin, and actually when they touch your neck, to actually stimulate you in a way that you move in a different way, and have it be like this moving dance instead of some place you need to exactly go. Like, be in the loving life energy, sexual energy of someone can be so juicy.
That is amazing. So this is what I heard, and I really like that.
I'm getting warm.
Hey, when you showed us the dog, I realized he's wearing shorts. He's scaring me now.
I've got shorts, yeah.
I do too.
And my dog's underneath my desk.
So I want to ask.
Holy crap, you are a brilliant person. I just want to say that out loud. Really, seriously. I mean, sorry, cat ball. No, seriously, no. I mean, I'm like so excited that you're here and doing this right now. I'm like jazzed. I'm like tweeting people. I'm like, come on, check this out. This is like really, I love your transparency. I mean, like shit. Yeah. Like I was just telling somebody the other day, I'm like, if you have a freak flag, rock the shit out of that. Don't keep it dormant. Like, oh yeah, I kind of like it in the butt. So go for it. Go do it. Go do you, whatever it is that you feel empowered to do. I think that's the central message of this show. And I love that you just bring that out in the open. You're like, I'm not scared about that shit. Oh, come on, let's talk about that. So thank you.
And one thing I want to add too, Crista, and it's a two-way street, and it's beautiful what you said, is you're saying see that person in a new light every single day. See yourself in a new light. This is where I think this starts. I think we sit here, we feel stagnant ourselves and we project. And I'm hearing you, and I'm visualizing friends and relationships that have issues. And I hear one thing loud and clear. We get stuck in our desire for certainty. And so we sit here and say, I'm this is what I want, this is it. What about the fact that every day I can change? What about the fact that maybe I'll try a new food and we try a new food together? What about the fact I'm not a wine drinker, but I'll go explore wine with you? What about the fact that I'm not a yoga guy, but you know what? I'll try it with you. Yes. This doesn't seem like rocket science. Like I'm listening to it and it's becoming more obvious. So tell us more. So we shift the gears of who I am and can change daily, who my partner can do. What else can we do? Because it sounds like the world is the limit. It's just never ending.
Well, I'm a big believer that we can choose who we want to be every day. And where I usually stand is I'm the presence of love. And then I choose that to where to stand there. And then that influences my actions. And I can choose to be a stand for that or not. A word that's coming to me right now that I think is the key characteristic to everything that we're talking about and what you just said is to develop the quality of curiosity, to be curious. Bam. If you're curious about that look someone just gave, or that move that your wife just made, or what your child just did, and you're curious about food, you're curious about the taste you just have. Oh, what's this herb that you put in this meal? Like, if you're just curious, that's enlivening, and people love being around curious. And I don't know about you, but as a woman, when I'm with a curious man, I'm like, oh, I love this. I feel so known and special, like someone's interested in me. If you're curious, it's just like you're devouring life. It's like, it's beautiful. So I would recommend just developing being curious.
That word is so powerful because curiosity is the precursor to play. Period. When we think of creativity, and we'll go back, there's our 5-year-old. Let's come back, 5-year-old again. Ready? Curiosity. Imagine you're sitting in a sandbox and you're like, what do we do? As adults, if there were 3 of us sitting in a sandbox, like, what do we do? Like a bunch of people in sand.
I need more sand than you. I need more sand than you. That's what we'd be doing as adults.
Yeah, something like
real estate and property and greed and all this other bullshit.
But because imagine 3 kids. Like one of us would be like, how about if I'm the guy who builds the castle and you go find the leaves to make like the bird that sits in the like we're all like curious and we want to play. Yeah. Where did that go? So how do we let's talk about that. How do we take, because I'm hearing a lot of things that maybe we've missed since childhood. So how do we get that curiosity back, that child playfulness without going back to and I think this is what happens with adults. I think that when we go back and we think of childhood, whatever our trauma was, or our I am statements like, I'm not enough, I'm not that smart, I don't know if I'm good enough, maybe I got ADD, so I'm a little too crazy. Those are the things.
Don't make fun of me.
And I'm talking about me, dude. Those are my I am statements. If they happen to be yours too, they're my brothers.
I have ADD on crack.
So we go back to that place. This is something that I want to challenge everybody to do. Let's go back to that place and know that we are enough. Curiosity and love. So right now together, for everybody who's listening, let's go back to that place right now. I'm a child. I'm enough. Nobody can tell me that I'm not good enough or I'm too rambunctious or whatever crap we heard. Here's what I am. I'm pure energy, I'm pure love, and I'm curious. Let's all sit in that space in our relationships and let's jump in from there. What can we do from that space? Because I also get concerned. I feel like when we go to curiosity, a lot of people are scared to go there because they think it goes back to their trauma. So what can we do from curiosity? I want to start that world of play. I want to play again. How do we do that?
Oh, you're asking me?
I don't know. I mean, Chris isn't going to answer.
I'm like, I love the question too. I want to hear it from you. I have my thoughts.
We're not
but
the experts. We're just hanging out.
I need to hear it from you.
Drinking beer and talking on a talk show. I mean, it's
I mean, my dog's cold nose is on my foot, so it's awesome. Just no, Krista, you speak. And by the way, can I just say this out loud? I'm just going to say this, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the 12 million people that are watching. She looks like Amy Schumer. It just bugs the crap.
Oh, yeah. I get that a lot.
But I love your energy. I mean, seriously, everything about that, what you bring to the table. So thank you for being here. Seriously, thank you for being here and share with us what you have in mind. I mean, wow.
With getting in tune with our own play and our own curiosity.
The curiosity. And then we lose that. We get pre-programmed as like, all of a sudden we're set up like, okay, now take your grades seriously. Take everything what you're going to do and say seriously. Make sure you're wearing the right thing in the right place and all this other stuff. Don't say that you like this and we become programmed to be everything that everybody else doesn't even care that we are.
We're even programmed as like little kids because, like as little kids, we're naturally curious. So you just imagine like a little 1-year-old, 2-year-old, they're being curious and they're feeling the carpet and they feel it. They really feel it through their fingers, and when you were kids, you just like felt things and you could just feel a fabric for like forever. They were just really in their senses. But then we may go near something dangerous and then we either get hit or we get moved so our curiosity is interrupted. And so over time, it's like, it's so interrupted that we need to kind of go back and reclaim it. And I don't know, like for me, I'm still in the journey of like awakening my own curiosity and my own play. And really the senses, being in the senses actually really help me to get into that play and into that curiosity. When I'm in my brain, I'm kind of just thinking too much, but when I'm in my body, I'm more here. So I think the access for me personally is through my body and doing things that get me in tune with that, whether it's a bath, whether it's going for a big jog, whether it is feeling something sensual, like feeling that velvet. I don't know about you guys, but when I was little, I loved satin stickers. Like I loved stickers. I had my sticker
Velveteen Rabbit was like my favorite.
Which one was your favorite?
The Velveteen Rabbit and the edge of a silk blanket, whatever that was. I used to do this all the time. I would do this.
Yes.
And the Velveteen Rabbit, I would do this. I would like pet the Velveteen Rabbit like crazy.
Yes. I
love
it.
I learned that in a yoga class. That was crazy.
I think it's just like slowing down and kind of being in the moment.
Coming back to presence.
Bam, 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 bam moment. Talk to us about that. Let's end out the show and how we can be seriously. I mean, everybody's caught in the past. Everybody's caught in the future. What's going to happen? Oh my God, this happened to me. I mean, the thing I've learned in the last 2 years more than anything else in the world is moments. Like this is all you get. Facebook reminds you every single day. Oh my God, there's your son 2.5 years ago. I'm like, holy shit, he's fucking young. It was like, I remember that moment like yesterday and it freaks me out. And that's why I always say that my major leverage in life is no regrets. I mean, how do we take all of what we said tonight and encapsulate it in a forum that we can just like take a shotgun, just go boom to the watcher, the viewer, and just like say, okay, listen, take this away from tonight, that you are in charge, that you should be playful, that you should never forget the fact that you're adventurous. When you were a kid, you didn't care what was happening. You're like, what do you want to be in the morning? I want to be an astronaut. Okay, I can be an astronaut. All I have to do is do what I need to do. And then we get told no, all this other shit. So talk to us about that. And also, please, Crista, make sure that everybody knows where to get your book and where to get in contact with you.
Well, I think it does go back to what I was saying before of taking that time to just being in tune with what do you need? What are you feeling right now? And what do you need? And usually it is that inner child, and she or he will ask for certain things, and to maybe schedule time every week. Like this is, if you feel like you're not in tune with your inner child, or that you have lost touch with curiosity or your own playfulness, schedule it. Like put it on your calendar. And then when that time comes in your calendar, you're either going to get majorly confronted or you're going to create something playful to do. And it's really just about shifting and making your making your inner child, making your feelings, making your presence a priority, and using the tools at your disposal, whether it's meditation, whether it's art, whether it's dance, whether it's just being at home alone, whatever you need to do to just be with you. I don't know what else to say, but to answer your question, how to find me, I mean, people can find me at cristabeck.com, and my name is spelled Crista, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
And, for the single people out there, they may want to take my dating IQ quiz, and it really helped them to be able to differentiate with whether they're on the right path or wrong path, and how they, just from taking the quiz, they can actually get a shift for themselves to go in the positive direction. So they can take that at the datingiqquiz.com. So I think those two places would be good to put out there for people. And
I took it and it was undateable.
Yes.
Huh?
I took it and it said I was undateable.
No, it didn't.
Hey, Crista, shoot me that in our private message group, and I'll make sure that it's on our show notes.
Let them see it. Let's see that book one more time.
Doesn't it look pretty?
Yep.
It's very pretty. I remember when you shared us saying which cover should we pick. That was the one I picked.
You picked the one with the heel?
I
remember there was one that was like red. I didn't like the red was too much. I like the white. I like that.
And then
that's better. Yeah, it's clean. It's cleaner. You know how one of them had too much noise? Like it was nice. Yeah.
I like clean.
Yeah, that's clean.
I like clean things. And then what link did you need me to send you?
One for the so this is right? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to multitask here. Yeah, so definitely go there. What's the link for
dating IQ quiz? Dating IQ quiz?
Dating IQ quiz.
Yes.
www.dating. I'm doing this without my glasses on too. Dating IQ. There's two Q's?
Dating IQ quiz, yes.
Let's see if we can do that. Mm-hmm. Multitask. That one?
Look at you.
All right, Chris, we got two more things that we want to cover. We wanted to talk about what we're going to do next week. And if you guys don't mind, how about if we just do 10 seconds? And I'd like to dedicate these 10 seconds of silence to every single person who's struggling to try to figure out what's going on in the world. And nobody's wrong. Nobody's right. There's no such thing. We're all one. We're all deeply connected. And so I would like to just dedicate this moment to love and light, and us taking a good look at ourselves and wondering why certain groups are angry, certain groups are sad, certain groups feel hopeless. And instead of saying you should have, you could have, you should, or whatever people should do, let's listen. Let's listen to certain groups and say, you know what? That doesn't seem right to me, but I can only imagine if you're doing that, what must be going on, and then listen to them. And so whoever those groups are in your life right now, let's listen a little bit. So just 10 seconds to love and light. Quick eyes closed. And cool. Thank you, guys.
Brilliant. Parting comments, Scott, Crista, go first.
It's just been really awesome to be here. I actually grew as a human being by being with the two of you. It was kind of like a therapy session. I feel so renewed and feel known by you two. And I actually got a chance to kind of grapple with some things for myself and see some deeper work that I can even do with myself. So thank you for allowing me to be in this space with you.
Awesome. No, thank you for being here and being who you are. That's massive. Yeah. Hang on backstage. We're going to be right back. So hang on for just a second. Again, where can they get in contact with you?
CristaBeck.com.
CristaBeck.com. That'll be in the show notes. Most definitely. Crista, you're awesome. Can't wait to have you back on the show. Seriously, you're massive. So thank you.
Thank you.
Scott. Wow. Another Friday Night Live. Here we are, an hour and 8 minutes into it. So what do you think? Are we making an impact?
I think we're making an impact, and you and I both know we're getting direct messages from plenty of people who something that we've said or something that's been talked about by one of our guests has shifted people's mindsets, ultimately shifting people's lives. And that's the only reason we do this. There's nothing more beautiful then taking the traumas, the lessons and things that we've learned and sharing those and bringing people on board to share their lessons so that we can all grow together, because that's the game. Every single one of us is a teacher and a student simultaneously, and we're all seeing that. And there's questions, there's guest comments, there's your comments, mine comments. Some minute we're the teacher, some minute we're the student. We're all a little bit of both, and it's beautiful.
Yep.
So last thing I want to share, because you know what we're going to do next week. So we're going to have a very special event next week, and what Chris and I are planning to do is, starting in August, we're going to have a 90-day group coaching session that we're going to start. And we've had a lot of people coming to us for one-on-one coaching. And I think that we've got a pretty good strategy and plan of how to make this coaching even more amazing and more affordable. But the biggest thing is more impactful. And I'm going to tell you where it's going to be based from. One of the beautiful things that I've had the chance to do is be a college professor. And in doing that, I see students spending a lot of money, spending like $5,000 a class to go teach, to go learn these business classes that, to me, I don't know that they mean that much. And Chris has an MBA too. We know this game. So what I've done is I teach a lot of life lessons within these classes, and I can promise you this, and I said this to Chris the other day, 13 years of teaching, and I've had thousands of students. I've had one student ever say this wasn't the best class I ever took. And I'm not bragging about my teaching ability. What I am going to brag about is the ability to get my students to cross-connect and be accountability coaches for one another and really want to learn. And I change the dynamic of how people learn. I don't sit here and ram information down their throat. I give them opportunity to think critically and to grow and to look at their identities and create mission and vision statements within these classes. So I'm going to strip out all of the business stuff. And Chris and I are working closely together right now to teach you two things: how to love more and work through your fears. And so loving more is listening, observing, voice, and empathizing. And working through your fears is forgiving yourself and others for things that have happened in the past, eliminating beliefs that no longer serve you and may have never served you. And then another difficult one is accepting yourself. Listen to that again, accepting yourself and others where they're at in their journey. So that doesn't mean me saying this person is okay and what they do is okay. What it means is I'm going to accept themselves where they're at their journey. If I need to disassociate, I will. We're going to help you work through those things. Finally, the R in fear is rise up and be resilient. So we're going to have this 12-session program that's going to be literally like a college class. You will learn more than you've learned in any college class. Quote me on that. Awesome. Because what I'm going to do, Chris and I have talked through this. We're going to give you amazing amounts of information and opportunity to grow. And literally, I've looked at everything that college classes are not delivering, and we're going to power pack that in together. So between both of us, we're going to give you so many opportunities to grow and learn and work through some of the things that might be holding you back. By the end of that, you will have a breakthrough. You can have the money back. I promise you'll have a breakthrough. There's no question. So next week, what we're going to do is a little bit of live coaching, have some fun. We're going to get on there. Start thinking of your questions now. What is holding you back? What things are you trying to deal with? What's wrong? What's right? What's good? What's bad? Just throw it out there. Start throwing those things into our Facebook pages. Start thinking of those questions. But we're going to have a very live, interactive program, and that's what we're looking forward to. That's going to be kind of the kickoff. And then from now on, our shows, we're going to try to make them thematic. So whatever our guest is bringing to the table, today we're talking about relationships. We're going to actually try to make that kind of almost a little bit of a coaching session within itself. So We're going to give you a walk away, something to take away that you can walk away that's a specific tool. And so there'll be both the shows plus the specific coaching format that's going to go to the core and help you rebuild a lot of the beliefs and the things that have caused problems in your life. We're going to help you shift that. And a lot of these symptoms, whether it's relationship building or whatever it is, we're going to help you deal with those things through the show. So hopefully you guys work along with us. We are so excited to have every one of you on board. I mean, we talk about this daily. It's seriously, I'll leave it there. It really is. It's ridiculous. Seriously. It's a blessing. So thank you all.
Perfectly said, Scott. I couldn't say it any better. That's the thing that you and I just like delved into without even thinking about it. Was like, how can we serve? How can we impact? How can we change people's lives? We can do it through the broadcast here, but it's more importantly that we can do it through private sessions where we can get deep into people's situations and not just the symptoms of their situations, like we talked about with Crista, we can dig deep into that and like help them realize what it is they can do to come out of that. So thank you, man, for saying that. And I just got to say, everybody, I mean, seriously, you, Scott, I mean, Crista, everybody's been here tonight. It's been an amazing evening. It's been really inspiring. And the big thing about it is that it's all from love. It's not from, you haven't heard us sell anything. And, you know, it's all just from the fact that we want you guys to become better people. We want you guys to shift your expectations, shift your beliefs, shift your goals, get more ingrained in the fact that you deserve more than you have. You don't have to settle. You don't have to have mediocrity in your life. You can say no. You can go and do different things. It hurts. It fucking hurts. But guess what? You look at it 18 months down the line, you look back and you're like, hey, I'm glad that ship sailed. Trust me, I know that from personal experience. So that's what we're inviting you guys to entertain, is the fact that both Scott and I have a lot of passion, a lot of mission, and a lot of experience in our lives, both personally and through coaching, that we can help you guys through that. And that's what really the heart-centered focus became out of this. Like, why are we doing these shows? Let's start impacting people personally and keep that conversation going. So Scott, I am like so blessed to have you in my life. I was telling somebody earlier today that like you're a brother from another mother. So thank you so much. Yes, Tina, it's a bromance. Shut up.
Screw you, Tina. all jokes aside, I want to go back to a lot of the students that I've had in classes, because every single one of them has said, and I'm not kidding, at the end of the semester, because I always denounce traditional education, and I don't do it in a way saying this isn't important. I say it's not being done correctly. And they always say, why don't you open up your own college? And so I've said to them, I said, we do need to have some kind of a structure where we go on Zoom and whatever, and we build this. And I honestly think this is the start of that. And I really see, if you've got somebody out there, you know, you're listening and you've got somebody who's going to college, or this is for anybody, but I'm really seeing someone going to college or getting out of college and going into the next part of their existence where there's that fear. You want to give a priceless gift, this is it. I promise you. Like, if you come back and you say that it didn't work, take all the money, take everything we made. Like, there's no way you will say that. I'm dumping my heart and soul into this. I know what you bring to the table, Chris. This is going to be literally everything they could ask for and more. And we're going to make sure of it. And that's why we're not starting until August. We already have everything developed. I've been doing this for 13 years. We want to go through it until it's perfect.
Yep.
And so we're going to go through some of the exercises, making sure they translate specifically to Zoom versus in person, so that they're equally as effective. And that's what we're talking about today. And that's what we're going to do. So
awesome, brother, dude. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, holy shit. What an impactful hour and 17 minutes. Yes. It always comes from the heart. It always comes from a perspective. How can we help you guys grow in the situations that you're in right now? That's the most important thing. How can you shift and how can you change right now? How can you like accept responsibility for your choices and your actions and say, hey, listen, those choices, those actions were based on somebody who I was, but now I want to be this person. So you make different choices. You make different actions. That's what this is about. This is about recognizing that you are the most important person in the world. I just did a show on this on Tuesday. You are the most important person in the world. When you recognize that and you achieve that and you say, I deserve happiness, I deserve success, I deserve love, I deserve my freak flag, I deserve whatever it might be, go own that shit. Seriously, that's where life is. Life is not in serving other people and making other people happy and being all this significant other crap, whatever it might be. Life is about doing what it is that you want to do, being who you want to be, and like experiencing that. It's not about possession, wealth, and ego and money, and I've got this and I've got that to make you feel like you want to feel like that. No, it's about the experiences. And ultimately, truthfully, I've had more conversations today than I could count. It's about the moments. It's about these moments. That's all we have. And I thank you guys. And I know Scott thanks you. Crista thanks you. These moments, that's what we have. That's the beautiful part of life, is this is what's happening right now. What happened 10 minutes ago is gone. These are moments. Make the best of each and every moment. Make the best decision you can in each and every moment, and keep going. And that momentum builds and your kick-ass life starts and everything happens. Trust me. I know it. All right, guys. I love you guys. Peace out. Thank you for being here Friday Night Live. Watch next week. It's going to be impactful. We got a lot of great shit coming for you guys because we love you and we love ourselves and we want to make an impact in this world. So please be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. I love you guys. Say bye.